Ready?
1 second.
It's a recording.
It's recording. So the US Open just finished. Today is the Monday after the Sunday after an amazing final, wasn't it?
I always feel a little sad after Grand Slams ends. It's like the last day of the summer holidays before you go back to school. You think, oh my God, it's gone. Where did it go?
Yeah, it's true actually. It's kind of like a little empty feeling.
Or maybe you didn't feel that way. Maybe you wanted to go back to school.
Some people probably, those good students that sat in front of the teacher.
I've read about these students. You enjoyed the US Open.
Oh, it was quite a special one, wasn't it? For various reasons, but I do feel that emptiness, and it's the last one of the year actually. So, what stands out for you about this US Open?
Well, it's one of the first US Opens I've actually watched because just through sheer coincidence and my girlfriend's love of shopping. It sounds like an advert, by the way. We're not sponsored, but we have Amazon Prime. So in previous years, going way back, the BBC hardly showed any US Open at all. Then Sky came along and swallowed it up, and obscure satellite channels. And I think US Open always charges TV companies a bit more than the other Grand Slams. So it's always been elusive to find. But we've had the Amazon coverage. And what do you think of the Amazon coverage, David?
It's been massacred with bad reviews since they started last year, exactly 1 year ago.
They're the new kids on the block, so teething problems.
This big company full of money came and took over the tennis, and they had no idea what they were doing in the beginning. They did improve because now they have like the replays of the matches. I watch tennis every week, and we can't watch everything live, and you want to be able to watch. So they're getting better, but still there were so many errors, so many problems. The sound, I left a few bad reviews there, and funny enough, there was a few hundred bad reviews that were deleted. They were deleted. Now they are calling their customers that give bad reviews to try to help them. Did you know that? I received 2 calls from them.
Really?
2 calls, yes.
And how could they help you?
Of course, they're going to suggest the basic stuff that we already know. Please clear your browser's history, and nothing like that works.
You tended to watch it on your laptop, did you? Because I watched it on the TV and it froze up a few times.
Yes, there you go.
But was it smoother on the laptop?
Well, I watch it on the computer. And I watch it on like phone, and then I broadcast it into the TV. And I did have problems as well.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mess. I think they're still evolving. One good thing I gotta say is that they have no advertising. That is good, like BBC.
And do you know, I'm programmed, my body and my eyes are still programmed to expect the advert break when Wawrinka or whoever sits down for the changeover. I'm expecting it. I'm waiting for a little whoosh, kind of incidental sound to herald the adverts.
Yeah, it's true, but I'm very glad it's over because I do like to look at the players when they're just thinking and how they react in that moment. What do they do? Some close their eyes, some put towels over their heads.
Jim Courier once read a book during the changeover, I think in the later part of his career, when he'd fallen out of love with tennis. He's got his love back as a pundit, and a very good one.
Yes, he was commentating
read
now.
A book during the changeover, and it wasn't a tennis book.
Wow.
He wasn't reading about the art of war.
Just something to take him out of the tennis mind, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. I think if they wanted to read books nowadays, they couldn't even read anymore because it's a disco now in between games.
Yeah.
It's a mad disco.
Are you in favour of that?
Not at all.
Do you want to hear the top 20 in between?
I like new things as well, but in this, at least Wimbledon has it right. Yeah. Keeping this. I mean, at Wimbledon they should give better chairs for the players to sit on. They still have those old-fashioned chairs.
They didn't always used to have. In the colour TV era, they used to stand up in between during changeovers.
Oh, wow.
And they'd often, there'd be a little trough, like a pig's trough of talcum powder. And they would do that. And they would dispense their own Robinson's barley water as a drink at Wimbledon. It was self-service. There was less being waited on by some ball boy or ball girl,
different times,
or ball man as it is in the US Open.
Yeah, so, but they get that right. They still don't put a disco. If I was a tennis player, let's say I was in the moment, and then suddenly you have this one more time or whatever song that I might not enjoy so much, it can turn me off. a little bit, but I think the players are dealing with it very well. Anyway, my favorite thing about the US Open, and this is one of the things that was the topic for this radio show today, was the comparison between why these three guys are dominating the slams and most of the masters, and where do the young ones come in. And I didn't know if we were going to have a new star or a new master of tennis come around, but after watching that final, I am very hopeful.
You are hopeful. Right.
I'm very hopeful. Medvedev.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me, we've been watching these youngsters, Tsitsipas, Shapovalov, Dimitrov, which disappeared for a while. He was shining a few years ago when he beat, was it Djokovic and even Federer, wasn't it?
Well, he beat Murray in the Wimbledon quarterfinals, I think, 2014. And we thought, yes, a star is born.
But we were so excited. He looked like the style of Federer and others. Really great. Baby Fed, they called him. Kyrgios also with his incredible talent, and we've been expecting for a great player to come. I mean, I am a great fan of tennis and a mega fan of Federer, but I'm ready. I'm ready to accept that some new kid on the block is going to start kicking ass, and taking over. And that final gave me hope, because I haven't seen a youngster be down 2-0, a breakdown in the third against Nadal.
Who's great at being 2-0.
Yes,
Federer has less of a record, hasn't he?
Yes, he does.
Being 2-0.
Nadal, it's 16 matches that he won the first set. He won the match 15 times. Yeah. So to see what Medvedev did, I don't know what happened. He just suddenly turned into this god of tennis, and he was playing. I've never seen anything like it. Out of nothing,
because his body language isn't the greatest.
Deceiving.
He looks like he's ready for a good lie down at the best of times, doesn't he?
He does.
In the semi-final too. I thought, well, he's not going to win this first set. Dimitrov was all over him like a cheap rat.
Yes, I saw that.
But he won it. It was tight in the first two sets, and then it was comfortable. Was he playing possum? I think that's just the way he is.
He's unpredictable. And suddenly he has this energy that comes from nowhere. And that's what happened against Nadal. And another thing I really appreciate about the guy, you see how he celebrated getting to the Grand Slam final? A little flinch on his face. There's no falling on the floor like that.
Like some first round winners do.
Yes, they just drop to the floor and, oh my God, I won the third round. And this guy just another day in the office.
I was going to say, another very good day in the office.
Very good day in the office.
So you think Medvedev will be the one?
Oh,
can I play devil's advocate here?
Yes, go for it.
I'll play devil's advocate. I'd love him to be. I really like him.
Yeah.
I think it's quite good the way he soaks up the New York crowds.
Oh, that's another thing that got us.
New York crowds goading, I suppose, really, and he seems to enjoy it and relish it.
How did he do that?
Djokovic pretends to sometimes, but deep down, as Becker said, it hurts him. It
does. Djokovic is throwing his heart to the crowd all the time, wanting to be loved, where Medvedev just said, hey.
But I would say Medvedev is 23 now, I think. Born in 1996.
He is 23,
so he's not that young. There are younger players out there too. He's a late bloomer, and I think male tennis players are later bloomers. Federer came through about 21.
Yes.
Maybe he had a great year when he was 20. The man to beat, had a poor year, and then at 22, he became the world beater that we know. He's a bit older. He if you look at his Grand Slam record too, this is the standout easily. I know he had a great run in to the tournament and played a lot of matches, took on a lot of good players. But I think at Wimbledon his record is the third round.
Oh, I think never got more than third or fourth round in slams.
I think 3 first rounds in a row. So he's got a long way to go at the French Open. And I think after this he'll be the man to beat. He's got an invisible target on his back. More so than Nadal, really. I mean, a lot of players know they're going to lose to Nadal when they step on the court. But with Medvedev, they'll be going, right, okay, you think you're the new kid on the block. Yeah, I'm going to take you on. This would be a great scalp to beat Medvedev. And you often find with these breakthrough tournaments, afterwards the player is knackered. He's played 7 matches in a row. He's not used to doing that. In Medvedev's case, he's played a lot more. So it might be a dip for a year and then he comes back.
That's what I hope it doesn't happen.
And there are other rivals who we're going to come on to.
Yes, and you're pointing out something that has been happening constantly in the last years. Every young kid that comes and shines for a moment suddenly dips and disappears. Zverev, Tsitsipas, Dimitrov, all these names.
Can we get Zverev out of the way first? Because he's the obvious one. He was the man, and yet.
O2 finals, playing.
Yeah, the
awesome
O2
tennis.
He won the last O2 finals, didn't he?
He did.
You know, the ticker tape and a new king is anointed.
Yeah.
I think he beat Djokovic in the final, didn't he?
He did, and Federer before or something like that.
He's been kidnapped, an imposter's been put in his place. He's done very well for an imposter. He's won some 5-set matches, but. Is he still wearing those? I can't remember. Is he still wearing those gold Mr. T chains around his neck? Maybe that's slowing him down.
I think so too.
Maybe he needs to get rid of that.
You got a good point. And I think it's 3 or 4.
Yeah.
On the neck.
And Lendl, because you were saying about
yes,
Lendl,
there was
no longer.
Lendl left him after he commented in public in an interview that Lendl was talking too much golf during their practice sessions.
He does like his golf. Lendl's daughters, or one of his daughters, I think he's got quite a lot. Yes. 5 or 6. If we're on a fact check, we'll have to check this. One of his daughters, I think, is a professional women's golfer.
I think so
and
too.
And Lendl, I think, was pretty close to playing off scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, this almost breaks us into a debate between the new generation and the old. This new generation is used to the phones, the Instagrams, the sharing everything online. So Zverev kind of has
Is Zverev one of those, do you think?
I have no idea. I can't judge from here.
Is.
Tell me.
Tsitsipas. He likes his Instagram stuff.
Yes.
Very creative, very good.
Very creative,
this is the problem, you think, partly.
That's one of the things that we are trying to figure out. Why the hell are these players not stepping up? And
are any of the big 3, or can I extend that to the big 4 if you include Murray in this? And I know you have a lot to say about whether Murray should be included in the big 4.
And Wawrinka for that matter then.
But I think he's quite keen on the old video games. Maybe he got the balance right. Maybe
Medvedev too, by the way.
Maybe his mum said something like, lock up that PlayStation. You've got to concentrate. But he's done pretty well, I think, of doing it. So maybe he.
Yes, you see, you put there good points. I love video games, and I think if there is a star to be risen, a new master of tennis, I can include Murray for a bit, but I can't put Murray completely. The others have 16, 19 and 20. Murray has 3 or 4?
Murray has 3 and then
Wawrinka
the O2,
has 3.
He's had the O2, the Olympics, the Davis Cup. Wawrinka is very similar.
Has 3, they're very similar. So we can definitely include those 2. Cilic won a US Open, but I think that it almost was like just a special moment that came and gone.
Del Potro too, but beyond Murray and Wawrinka, it's
nobody.
desert.
It's desert. That's it. And all these players are coming in and then disappearing. That's why I'm so excited about what happened. I'm almost praying that Medvedev just takes this and goes on, because he's been on fire. Yeah. You've seen his record this year. It's just crazy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Crazy. I mean, it's like champion, finalist, champion, finalist,
He's played a lot and he's won a lot. And
where does he get the energy?
That balance right, because Zverev was playing every tournament. Dominic Thiem,
who
I know
another great player that I like so much,
as one of the young guns. But maybe surprisingly, I think if you're going to look at the next Grand Slam champion outside the top 3 or 4, I think Thiem at the French Open is the one I would bet on, especially if Nadal got injured eating a croissant in Paris or something. Thiem has been knocking on that door. He's lost the last 2 finals. The last one, he played incredibly well for a while until Nadal asserted himself, as he always does.
Again.
So Thiem is 26. His record outside the French isn't great, but he played lots and lots of tournaments. Maybe he didn't balance it that well. He's kind of burned out at the wrong times of the year, but certainly at the French, he does time it well.
Yes.
So I think maybe a surprise twist, if there's a power vacuum and the big 3 or 4 all kind of get lost or kidnapped, And I think Team is the one I would bet on to. I think he's the most likely to win a slam. I would nail him on for the French.
I like that prediction, and I've been following Team, and he is one of my young favorites. I like him. He's a nice guy, and he has a massive game on clay. He's been knocking on the door. He won his first Masters 1000 on hard court this year, but still, it's not enough to say that he is ready on the other surfaces. But yes, 2 times already, and he almost beat Nadal. So hopefully this next year, I think that would be good. So I'm excited about Medvedev. Hopefully something happens, and finally a young guy starts beating the best, the top.
And wouldn't it be great if one of these young guys does it while the big three is still at their best?
That's
we can still
exactly
say
what
they
we want.
won it and they beat one of the big three in the final. And my God, Nadal, Djokovic or Federer played superbly, the best I've ever seen, and they lost. Because it would be a bit of a Pyrrhic victory if one of them broke through, but only broke through because the big three had given up. They were just turning up to please their sponsors.
That's why we want them to break out now. Come on, they're getting old. Federer beat Sampras. Who else? Agassi beat someone else, and
McEnroe dethroned Borg, didn't he?
There you go. You see, it has always been from generation to generation the youngsters that come in and then they start dominating.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. I mean, it would be so sad that we have to wait for Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, and some others to just disappear, and then finally we have
Isn't the men's game so different to the ladies' game?
Yes.
There is always a big 2 or big 3.
Always.
In the men's game, where in the women's game, yes,
especially
Serena
recently,
Williams has been the ever-present.
Yeah.
But it's a revolving cast of supporting actresses or actors, as they say nowadays, who are kind of there in the final, taking it in turns to beat Serena Williams in the final.
Yes, I mean,
but in the men, and would you prefer to see the men's game, with Tsitsipas winning one time and then disappearing, and he's ranked 80th in the world, and someone else winning and them taking it in turns?
Yeah,
or do you like the fact there's a big 3 to shoot at, which there isn't in the ladies' game?
Yes, for me it's very obvious. Almost, I think everybody wants some heroes fighting. That's why we love this era so much, because we have these guys fighting, isn't it? Look at when Federer was dominating before Nadal and Djokovic appeared. Tennis was boring. People were not even thrilled.
Can you name Federer's main rival when he first broke through and won Wimbledon?
I mean, Roddick, but Roddick couldn't do it.
Roddick, he was the one who was the main rival.
But he couldn't do it. He couldn't.
No. At Wimbledon, he did his best, and the US Open final. But then, Nadal on, I think Nadal's 18th birthday.
Yes.
Semi-final. Federer just clocks in another day at the office. This is my first French title.
Yes.
And you've got a rival, and my God, but for that, would Federer have won 30 Grand Slams, or would he have thought this is too easy and retired after 12?
That's what I think.
Started to go down McDonald's and eat loads of food.
He wouldn't be playing now at 38. Maybe he would be relaxed, enjoying. Although I truly believe the love that he has for tennis. I mean, tennis is a wonderful sport, and if you love what you're doing, why not? But he's still fighting for the records.
Tsitsipas has said something worrying recently. He said, I'm just not enjoying. I'm just not enjoying my tennis.
So early and already not enjoying.
He could get it back, though. He could get it back. It's like golf. It's the most frustrating sport in the world when you're not winning and playing well.
Yes.
And it's beautiful when you're winning or playing to your best, like Medvedev did.
Yes.
Against Nadal.
You travel to a new place and then you lose. And then you have to travel to another place and lose. You got to be winning, or it's
what other profession would you end most weeks by losing? Most tennis players, 99% of them, at the end of the week or at the end of a tournament, they're packing their bags and flying to another plane, a loser.
Yeah.
And how long can you carry on? Just kind of making up the numbers, as it were.
It's incredible, it really is. And so, what is the difference between this new generation and the old one? Why is the old one getting older and still beating the young?
Well, I think they're exceptional for a start. They're just so driven. First time I saw Nadal, he was playing at Wimbledon against a British player. I think he played Wimbledon before the French Open, and British player was quite experienced, and Nadal just wanted to win every point, even in the knock-up. He was trying to hit winners in the knock-up, just incredible. And he leapt out at me as, wow, this man is amazing, and he could just carry on for a long time. The big worry, I thought, was such an all-action game, and every point was like the last point on earth.
I've never seen anything like it.
He's going to burn himself out. He's going to get injuries. And yes, I was right about that. But he's come back. Djokovic, I think of the big three, he was the one I didn't particularly think was going on to great things.
We need number three forever in the world, and then suddenly
he had a habit of withdrawing from matches.
Yes.
So his success surprises me more than anyone else. Federer, first time I came across him really was against Sampras in the Wimbledon semi-finals, and yeah, he was special. He was out rallying Sampras, out volleying him. Absolutely great game. Sampras was still at the peak of his powers. These three are exceptional players, and I wouldn't be surprised if when they go, there's a power vacuum, like there was when Sampras went. Leighton Hewitt took over for a year, and people thought he was the big thing.
Yes.
So I think maybe someone like Medvedev might take over for a year and win a few slams, and then someone we haven't even talked about today might come from nowhere, just like Federer did to a certain extent.
True.
And just come through, or Djokovic. Why these three kept going for so long, I think it's because of the other two in the rivalry. Federer is looking at these other two and looking over his shoulder.
Yes.
He wants that record. He really wants it. Djokovic has openly said it's an open secret. I want that record. And Nadal is the most cagey about it or humble about it, saying, I'm just happy to be on the court playing tennis.
Yes.
But they all want it, so they're driving each other on. Sampras, Agassi, there wasn't that closeness. So I think that's why they're keeping going, because of the other two.
I think you speak well, and also I will add, of course, the science and the medical and the fitness has improved so much over the years. They can last longer. Yes, I think the first thing that you said about it's who they are. It's their mindset. It's what you explained about Nadal, and then the talent of Federer and his hunger and his love for the game, and Djokovic. His resilience and his readiness to take damage and just go until he is. Those three guys are definitely something special, and that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for 2 or 3 of these guys to have some of those qualities. But you know what I feel? I watch a lot of tennis, full matches. It's not highlights. I feel these players on what most of them lack until now. And that's what I didn't feel in Medvedev's this US Open. That's why I'm excited. What I feel from them is they don't want it enough. It feels like at a certain moment they just give up. They don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to be too judgmental about it, and I don't want to say this is the truth. I feel they don't have that willpower that these three guys have. And yes, Murray had it for some time, and Wawrinka every once in a while.
Where does the willpower come from? Because most of these guys come from quite rich backgrounds. I wouldn't know myself. It's Djokovic. Did he come?
I heard a very personal interview with Djokovic, and he describes how he comes from a post-war country. Difficulty.
So he had hardship, didn't he?
Yeah, he had hardship, but it's very rare to see players do like that. I found a record online the other day which showed how many matches Nadal, Federer and Djokovic came back from match point down to win and lost after match point up. Djokovic has 3 that he lost.
Not many, really, is it?
Yes, not many, this guy. So maybe it comes from his background or maybe just for who he is. So where are the kids that have these kind of powers? This is special powers, you know.
Accepting of defeat. Djokovic accepts defeat, and maybe the willpower is really you don't accept defeat. Tsitsipas doesn't like being beaten, and maybe that's a good thing. Federer, when he went through his troubles before he made the breakthrough in that year after beating Sampras at Wimbledon, he struggled. He was knocked out of first rounds by fairly ordinary players.
Yes.
He had a temper when he was a younger player.
He did.
But then when he was winning more, that petulance was passion. And maybe Tsitsipas, that will change with him too. He's shown the hunger.
When he lost at Wimbledon, did you see his interview? He was so depressed. I was like, okay, this is great actually. He's so depressed. He really wants to win. It can come from both sides, from the guy that accepts defeat and is so relaxed with it that he's able to win, And it can come from the guy that can't take defeat and he wants to win so badly that he wins as well. And I think that describes a bit Federer and Djokovic. They are opposites in that. Federer does not like to lose. It's very difficult for him.
After losing Wimbledon, I think he didn't want to talk about tennis for a week.
Yeah, 3 great champions, so different from each other, different qualities, and they're winning.
So who haven't we mentioned of the next generation, because they're going to be listening to this? And now I struggle to pronounce their names. I have got a list here. But the Canadian guy, the Wayne's World Canadian guy,
Shapovalov.
He is the one who has a bit of Nadal about him, I think, in that he looks like a teenager who wants to play tennis all day, even when it's raining down the public courts. He seems to have all the strokes. I wouldn't want to play him at all. I think he's a very good player.
Yes, left-handed, good spin.
I've been watching him for a few years, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't do it. I think him and Tsitsipas, to me, I know you say Medvedev, I think they're the ones who might come through.
That was going to be my question.
Might be an interim. If the king of tennis is out there, if he's not kind of unknown, just out there waiting to be discovered, I think, the Canadian Wayne's World guy, the next king of tennis, has to win those early rounds convincingly. They can't have too many miles in their legs to get through to the final.
So for you, it's Tsitsipas and Shapovalov?
Yes, I think so. But watch that Medvedev-Tsitsipas rivalry, because if you see it on YouTube, there's a bit of feistiness between them.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Just as there was between Del Potro and Murray in the early stages of their career, and I think they're friendly now, so there's still hope.
So I would go with Tsitsipas and Medvedev, but I have more faith in Medvedev for now. Shapovalov, I like him very much. I think he's going to come around. Even Aliassim is very interesting, very composed.
Too early to say for
but
him.
Too early, yes. I do hope that they come around, especially before the big 3 are gone, because that will be special. It cannot be one win here in the semis and then disappear. It has to be one win in the semis against one of the 3 and then beating another one in the final, and then continuing with that trend and starting to take over tennis.
Definitely, we agree there. We're gonna end with agreements. But
yes,
what we didn't talk about, maybe one for a future episode. If anyone's got any suggestions, just let us know. But who will be the greatest of all time in terms of the Grand Slams won? That's another big subplot. Who do we think is going to end up on top? We'll have to talk about that.
And for that one, we're going to bring a guest between those ideas? 3. Yes, we have that's it.
He'd be too gentlemanly to say, maybe, or maybe not, which would be very interesting.
Yes, they are so careful with each other, these tennis players.
How would we describe to Rod Laver what our show is? Because I heard a description from my girlfriend the other day.
What did she say?
She said 2 old guys talking about tennis.
Oh, wow.
She put it in a nutshell there.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I love it.
You're still young.
Oh, I'm very old.
So there you go, 2 old guys talking about tennis.
All right, see you next time.
See you next time. Take care.